Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning to some of you. You are here at Cultivating Voices Live Poetry. I'm your host, Sandy Yannone, and I want to wish one and all of you a very festive, peace-filled, engaging, creative new year as we enter 2024. Especially those of you joining us live here in Zoom, those of you who are watching us live on Facebook, and those of the many, many of you who will be watching this and recording. Again, a very happy new year to one and all. Well, I just want to tell you as we begin this new year, in March, we're going to be celebrating we're going to be finally reaching our 5th year. We began in March of 2020. And as we have been putting together the programs that will lead us to March 2020, to March 2024, and take us through the rest of the year, we really have some exceptional programs between now and our summer hiatus, and even looking past our summer hiatus. I think it's going to be a great 5th year, and I'm so glad to have all of you joining us for our very first program today in the new year. It's our Poets Focus, our open mic on the theme of first. If you're just joining us for the first time, I'd like to remind folks that Cultivating Voices Live Poetry is an international, intersectional, intergenerational Facebook group, reading series, and really poetry community. And we have over 4,000 members worldwide. And who's with us in the folks that are with us today in our poetry Zoom studio really are very much reflective and representative of that worldwide membership. We'll be hopping across quite a few time zones in the reading today. I also want to just acknowledge that these continue to be difficult times. I'm not sure that there isn't a difficult time, but that poetry to me continues to be this balm, this anchor, this way to help me cope and have hope for the future. And that is really our aspiration here. In some ways, it's an opportunity to do many prismatic things. Press pause and take a breather. Speak out against injustice. Speak out for humanity. Speak out for peace. And I just encourage and welcome and applaud, all of you poets out there who join in this endeavor to use poetry as this platform for not only elevating your own voice, but elevating the voices that lead us toward a stronger humanity, a peaceful humanity. Well, again, if this is the first reading of the month, it's our Poets Focus. And today, because it's the first reading of the year, it's our Poets Focus on the theme of firsts. It's the first week of the new year, and we will have 12 of our first features in the open mic. Folks will be reading, our first 12 features will be reading for up to 5 minutes apiece. And as much time as we have in the 90 minutes, we'll get to folks on our waiting list. If you're reading off our wait list, please, one poem, up to about 3 minutes apiece. Well, let's head on over to our fabulous first 12 features for our program today on firsts. And first up is none other than Marjorie Maddox, who will be one of our featured readers in one of our new book showcases coming up later in the year. Welcome. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Thank you very much. This first poem is the only poem I think I have that has first in the title, and it's kind of a leftover Christmas poem, but I've always thought that Joseph must have felt pretty overwhelmed. What can I possibly teach this little baby? And I think maybe it's something that a lot of parents feel. First nice question. What could he, Joseph, old beside this Mary, possibly teach him, the one swaddled by dark in this last resort, makeshift animal room for a son, not a son? He looks around the straw-strewn space unfit for this king. Already he's failed. The seconds between quiet stars and angels, boisterous hallelujahs, fill with the moon, even more ancient than he feels, that spotlight his calloused hands, possibly, with care. Someone constructed the manger. Someone nailed the roof. He touches the infant's untrained fingers. Yes, he will start with that. And then the last poem I'll read is a poem about trying karaoke for the first time, which is definitely outside of my comfort zone. And so this was at the Monson Artist Residency that I was at during May. Karaoke at the Artist Residency. Okay, not exactly like a story you dreamed, then started forgetting as soon as you stretched your mouth in a yawn and each word tumbled into the stark bright of day's dementia. But nevertheless, somehow any sweet and clear half note you ever claimed in morning showers, yes, any, now trip on the hot mist of memory, crack all ribs, and end up far off key and stranded in this place of friendly strangers, crooning their lungs out with mic and screen. Artists, photographers, writers not in the outside world of tavern, but instead here in the donor-funded upscale living room where they, no shower background necessary, throw back their heads and wail gloriously. Not a glint or glimmer of whose skin do I live in, flashing in the chorus. And bravo, kudos, and all prize nominations. What good is envy when they belt out with such joy their favorite oldies, separated from yours by 20 years, both so unabashedly beautiful and exuberantly shattered with drunken crescendos, each millennial apologizing for advanced age, while your real tail end of the baby boomer generation and wallflower membership politely goes noticed but unmentioned. And for this you are grateful. When you stumble repeatedly, not from drink, but from late hour self-consciousness, every one of them waves their arms, opens wide their throats to bellow the lyrics boldly, graciously buoying your attempts with camaraderie and the night's last call and response of kindness. Your own belated harmony, this off-kilter poem, all you have to offer. Thanks.
Brava, brava. That is Marjorie Maddox. And Marjorie, for forever in perpetuity, you will be able to say you were the first reader on Cultivating Voices in 2024. Thank you so much. Oh, what a rousing poem to begin the year with. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much. Well, next we go up north to Canada with David Brydges, and David will be followed by Billy Brown. Happy New Year to you, my friend.
Thank you. Happy New Year to you, and good afternoon, everyone. Firstly, I feel probably privileged to be reading my first poem of the year at the first open mic of the first Cultivating Voices event of the year, and following our first reader. That's got to be a first. Yeah, I have a leftover poem from Christmas too. How I killed my first tofu turkey. A trigger warning, this is a kind of a humorous poem, but yeah, anyway. It's ironic, but I put to death my tofu turkey. It was nonviolent and bloodless, as only a vegetarian could inflict. My tradition at Christmas dinner is having a plant-based bird that doesn't fly. It wasn't killed like the customary turkey adorning many holiday season tables. It's a gruesome 18-week journey from hen to headless. Terrified in the slaughterhouse, their heads submerged in an electrified stunning tank, shackled and hung upside down, a circular blade slashes their throats. Then dumped into boiling water to remove their feathers. Many don't even make it to the stun tank. Wrapped in plastic, they leave the factory by the millions for the dinner tables of the world. My soya bean cheese alternative sat in the fridge. I opened the box and something had grown on its skin. A light blue mold like blue cheese had speckled the tofu. I had to dispose of its inedible body in the garbage can. Rereading the box, it recommended freezing before cooking, which for some odd reason I thought could be healthy without this step. Skimming the instructions killed my tofu turkey. Years previous, there were few choices when it came to having a vegetarian Christmas with a family of carnivores. Mom wanted to ensure we were fed well and tried her best to fill up my plate with mashed potatoes, gravy, stuffing, and turnips, which I didn't like. But there was always that white empty spot on my plate, normally filled with turkey. Those were awkward, uncomfortable years of sharing a meal with loved ones and not sharing a meal with loved ones who didn't get your different dietary lifestyle. Everyone relaxed when I never refused Christmas pudding dessert with plum sauce. My dad, a 3-meal-a-day meat eater, was disturbed his firstborn son, a world traveler, brought back to this small northern Ontario town household. Many cultures had vegetarian options. One summer, Dad drove past a chicken factory, and the stench repulsed him. He stopped eating chicken. Later, when it was chicken dinner night, we finally saw eye to eye.
Oh my gosh, that is David Brydges. Thank you so much. Many, many firsts in that poem. Many, many firsts. Fantastic. Well, folks, it is our Cultivating Voices live poetry open mic with our poets focused on first. And up next, always a first in my book, going to be Billy Brown. And before Billy joins us, I just want to remind you, feel free to use the chat respectfully. Share your love and joy and appreciation with the poets who are reading. And also, as David did so eloquently, if you feel like what you're sharing would benefit from a bit of a content notice so that a person might mute if they choose, feel free to offer that in solidarity with the health of our community here. And finally, as Harvey did in the chat, if you have any upcoming readings or if you want to make an announcement about anything, feel free to use the chat for that purpose as well. As you know, because this is the open mic, you know, I'm not making different kinds of announcements here and there. So feel free to share those announcements with everybody in the chat. And now, of course, the one, the only, the first. Well, you're probably not the first Billy Brown on the planet, but you are to me, Billy Brown.
So
Welcome.
great to see you all. And I must say, I'm honored to be the first third poet at the first Cultivating Voices reading of the year. Except my poetry will be sung. A good love song is something that really appeals to me. And so this is actually the first love song I ever sang to my sweetheart in public in a bar. First, I have to give him my first note. The first time ever I saw your face, I thought the sun rose in your eyes, and the moon and the stars were the gift you gave to the dark, and the endless skies, my love, to the dark and the endless skies. I think I'm going to go up a note. The first time ever I kissed your lips, I felt the earth move in my arms, like the trembling heart of a captive dove that was there at my command, my love, that was there at my command. The first time ever I lay with you, I felt your heart beat so close to mine, and I knew our joy would fill the earth and last till the end of time, my love. Our joy will last till the end of time. My second song is a song that we're singing in my first appearance with the New Mexico Peace Choir, which we'll be singing next Sunday. And in view of various concerns about immigrants and so on, I thought this might be appropriate. Not that I have any concerns about them, but this is a song written to the words of Emma Lazarus. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp, I lift my lamp, I lift my lamp beside the golden door. I lift my lamp, I lift my lamp, I lift my lamp beside the golden door. That one's for Patricia and all New Yorkers. Thank you very much, everyone.
Well, that is Billy Brown with our first song of the new year. And I think the first time anyone has quoted, well, certainly sung Emma Lazarus. And I mentioned in the chat, as you already alluded to, that for those that aren't familiar with those lines, those are the lines that are on the Statue of Liberty here in the Statue of Liberty in New York City. And the Statue of Liberty was a gift from the country of France to the United States. I believe it was gifted to this country in 1889, if I'm not mistaken, and please do correct me if someone has the more correct history. Thank you, Billy Brown. Well, we go from hearing those very iconic words of Emma Lazarus, who was an incredible peace activist and worker for social justice, to born and bred New Yorker, Patricia Carragon. Welcome to you, my friend, and Happy New Year to you.
Thank you, everybody. 2 new poems of the year. Yay. First one, written, I think, on New Year's Day, I forgot. Anyway, The Labyrinth. Your curiosity beckons to see who I am beneath skin. You use speculation as your compass, but my labyrinth keeps expanding, the exit ever so elusive. You visit actualities, the good and bad, but they are as speculative as the ones inside your head. Your curiosity walks on paths constructed by rusted dreams and unblemished thoughts, questions at every turn, answers buried underneath. But are these questions and answers yours, mine, or ours? Some questions won't be answered, either too deep for digging or distorted by exposure. Your curiosity may never find the exit, and no two labyrinths are alike. First one. Now a different thing. I decided to do an acrostic poem, but it's not acrostic because I just created this painting and the artist. A lady holds her kitten by the table. I listen to a conversation between you and your partner. Philosophical clashes that last 10 minutes, words that disappear into air and meander outside this room. I'm used to being stared at, and my kitten doesn't care. It doesn't matter if we're uncomfortable or not. The curator's mission is to entertain and educate. She holds a PhD in art history, but she lacks the understanding behind those brushstrokes back in his Parisian flat. His secret language, expressions for loss. Not for the latest trend, not for that nouveau riche patron. Hours of infinite eyes pass by, endless dissections, the reasons for color, the meaning behind my eyes, and why is my kitten looking away? Our two-dimensional world serves the public, but at night, when the lights go out and the room is empty, I become like you, leave this gilded frame, visit his self-portrait across the way. We sit on the museum's bench. He shares his glass of wine. I, my cheese, bread, and fruit. My kitten joins us, leaves another mark on the wooden bench. Proof that we are more than what the eyes see. Thank you. Meow.
Meow. I love that. Well, again, fantastic from Patricia Carragon, founder, curator, Brownstone Poets. Thank you so much. And I love that interpretation of first, bringing your first poems of the new year that you've written. Fantastic. And perhaps, likely, our first ekphrastic poem of the new year as well. And certainly our first meow of the new year. Thank you. Bring many more meows. Bring many more meows. We love animals of all sorts here on Cultivating Voices. Happy New Year. We'll see you soon. Well, I'm very excited to welcome next to the poetry open mic for our Poets Focus on First, Lee Desrosiers, who will be our first salmon poet in the new year. I don't count. So, and Lee will be followed by Karen Warinsky. And Lee, be sure to give a shout out also for what you do in the world and your journals. Take some time for that, please, to share with folks as well.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here.
I better start with that so I don't forget. I published Naugatuck River Review, which is open for submissions right now. It's a journal of narrative poetry, so I will put a link to that in the chat after I read. And also Word Piece, which is an international journal it's a multi-genre journal for peace and social justice, and that will be open February 1st. And our next theme is War and Peace. So that'll be good. And the new new Word Piece issue should also be out by the end of this week. So that's up online at wordpeace.co, WORDPEAC. I'll put a link to it. It looks like it's up now. I guess you can see most of it. I'm still working on it. Okay, so I'm going to read some work from a book I'm working on, and so it's my first time reading these on Zoom, and one of them is the first time reading it ever. So that's good, and it's 3 poems, but they sort of sound like one because they all go together. And I don't have a proper name for the collection, but my working name is My Gender, which is a very interesting little collection. Here we go. My gender is driftwood carried by tide, hoarded by octopus, captured in mouths of fish, dropped by surf on shore. My gender is the way the leaves turn toward the sky before soft showers, the canyoning of snails, the lapping of puddles. My gender is snow thundering off a slate roof, shaking the house, crushing anything beneath that resists. My gender is dripping of laundry on the line, caught by the wind, the straining of clothespins to hold fast. My gender is condensation of ice in clouds, chaos of friction, the ecstatic release of lightning. My gender sounds like rain, the kind that floods, that raises the smell of good dirt. My gender smells like the first thin tornado of smoke from a stick spun between palms over dried moss for kindling. On a walk, my gender is a patch of grass I use to wipe off the mud, kind of lovely, kind of messy, but necessary. My gender is a whiff of spring air after a long winter, and also the sound of the first robin in the yard who tries to make a nest of dry moss on top of my black mailbox. My gender is a far-off campfire, smells piney, but the smoke comes in the window and makes us cough, and we see on the news it's a forest fire on the mountain. My gender argues with me about closing the window when the evening skunk crosses the driveway because we should appreciate nature. My gender is the smoke and the grit and the grass. They are the pine and the skunk and the nesting robin. I take off the moss and they put it back. My gender is a splash of yellow paint left to right with an orange stripe from a blue-handled brush across it diagonally. I take the blue-handled brush, dip it in a slurry of colors, make dots, pointillistic splotches all over the canvas of my gender. My gender is a textured paint made with sugar or sand, blended with paint, tinted with pomegranate juice or blueberries, ready to mix it up. I bring out 5-gallon buckets, pour 3 colors of paint, one the color of our body in sunlight, one the color of our hair after a fade, buzz, and razor cut, one the sound of our voice in a tunnel. My gender pulls me in the direction of a gallery with paintings of all the genders on all the walls, the color of the entire earth. I am the color of clay and placenta. My texture is igneous, volcanic, and also pumice. I sculpt a new body from these and become me. Thanks.
Wow, wow, wow. First of all, just bravex to that new work. And thank you for using this opportunity for firsts to read it with us for the first time that you've read it or parts of it. I'm very honored and moved by your sharing with us. Wow. Keep going, my friend. Keep going. It's our very first litany for the new year as well. Yeah, oh, wow. Very powerful. Well, next we will hear from Karen Warinsky, my new neighbor here in Connecticut. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly, Karen. And I'm so glad that you're here for your first time on Cultivating Voices. And also I want to thank you as well. I've been kind of watching what Karen does in the poetry community that she's cultivated here in Connecticut, and I'm just really impressed and grateful to be able to see these areas of community, because I'm just starting to tap in and connect. So it's so great to see you. Thank you for coming.
Well, and I'm happy to be here with everyone. And the first time I heard you read was in the O'Bale reading out of Ireland. And I was super impressed and love your work and aspire to be as good as many of you here. Really, it's our 5th year too, starting Poets at Large. So I'm just going to make a little pitch. It kind of came out of the pandemic in 2020. And I'd like to invite all of you to find us on Facebook and join the group Poets at Large. We're doing some readings February through May in Pomfret, Connecticut, Saturday nights, and we have an open mic, and it'd be wonderful to see you there. So if you're in the area, I just have one piece, but what I'm going to say is for the last year and a half or so, I've been writing about politics and war. And, you know, that can be draining. And the last 2 months, I wrote a lot about Gaza. And then I saw an opportunity to create a new chapbook, and I'm going to call it Music Lessons. And I'm writing about music and how music has affected my life in different ways. And to do that, I had to go back in time and dig out some memories. And so I grew up in Illinois. Just going to explain. Pecatonica is in this poem. Pecatonica is the name of a town in Illinois, and that is a Native American name. And this is so far, it's brand new. It's so far titled First Concert, but maybe I can come up with something more original later. So here we go. A tightrope, a masquerade. Makes sense. He picked the Pecatonica Fairgrounds to unleash Carney on the crowd. My first concert. Blaine, Rick, was it yours too? We were all together with Val back then when you were both full of plans and we were all still friends. Back when you were both alive. How did I get my dad to let me go hear Leon Russell? How did I convince him to let me ride with you? He didn't like either of you. I found out later. Didn't really like Val. By the end of his life, I don't think he liked me. 15 and scared to smoke the joints, I pretended, passed them back. I'll bet you knew. Thanks for not making fun of me. Years later, I saw Leon Russell again, nearly blind and in his 70s. A man led this sage to the stage, helped him get seated. He played for 90 straight minutes. After, people lined up outside his trailer, sending in their CDs like holy relics to be signed. I asked the security guy to tell him about Pecatonica, about my first concert, how great it was. Man, he won't remember that, the guy laughed. But I never forgot.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful first reading on Cultivating Voices live poetry. And again, thank you so much. I look forward to coming to Pomfret, of course. Now I have something to look forward to on Saturday nights.
Please come, please come.
Absolutely. Well, I am very excited to share that our next poet, Gordon Ferris, Gordon's new book is out. So this will be perhaps Gordon's first reading since the book has come out. I'm sure there are many other firsts, but again, congratulations, Gordon, and Happy New Year to you. And Kristie Williams will be following Gordon.
Good evening. The first poem I'm going to do is it's from one of my notebooks, and it's not finished. So it's about the first time that I ever read in front of people, and I was very nervous. So this is it. The first time I got to speak my words, the floor didn't open and swallow me up. The listeners didn't charge the stage and drag me off in a headlock. The first time I got to speak my words, I noticed you stare in the front seat and all the people in the background staring. What did I expect? I'm on a stage in a silent room. I'm saying my words. Where are they going to look? The first time I spoke my words, I could see the words. I know at that time I could not change them. But later, when alone in my room, I knew I could. So the next one is called You Walk. You walk in silence, head lowered to avoid any searching glance. Fingers fidget, you look at the ground as if you can't see where you walk. You push an imaginary strand of hair out of your eyes. You shake when someone speaks to you and nervously answer. Breathe in deeply and go on your way. And this one is called Drinking All Night on the Beach. Clouds cover the mountains like a bedsheet on naked flesh. Singers swaying, dancers swinging, onlookers sitting silently in awe. Pent-up energy ready to explode, a hesitant wave, arms reluctantly rise. At night, colors from our world depart to paint the canopy of the universe. Returning later, watched over by the morning sun, heralding the birth of day, our eyes slowly opening. And this is called Winter View. The view from the nighttime window, childlike in its simplicity, a dark, secret, hidden world, all purple and gold and darkest green hue. A moist, damp, chill wind enters the bones and pains the feet. A slight, imperceptible flake falls, melting on the window pane, steadily more, patchy on the path at first, then a blanket of white dispersing the dune. And this is called Listen. Beneath my erupting display lay something quiet and aching. Behind these tired eyes hides an invisible dam, holding back the tears ready to erupt. Almost reaching the top, just won't reach the overflow. When asked to do what causes me distress, I hide my displeasure behind a deceptive smile. I am feeling pain. No, my friend, my grimace is internal, never shaped by faces about. I don't ignore you. It's a wall I build to hide from the world. And am I okay for time?
Yeah, you're good. Go ahead.
Bus stop. In this one, there's the mention of a person called Leo is a local politician, is our prime minister at the moment. Bus stop. feet shuffling from side to side, waiting, listening, watching. The sign says it's due in 1 minute. The sign has said that for the last 5. 2 chattering women, dolled up to the nines, powdered faces reeking of cheap perfume. They're shivering, they must be freezing. That Reiki is a load of old bollocks. It helps me, so I don't give a bollocks. Behind him, a perplexed sign of an ad for a local politician. Vote Leo, your only man. A penis is drawn on his forehead. A baby is crying under shopping at a pram. The mother lights another cigarette. A drunk man looks at his watch and anxiously about in the direction the bus will come. And I'm going to finish with one called Lost. With the usual glass in hand, you upend the plate onto the floor in anger, making sure to enter it into the notebook, the name of the orange flower you love. A notepad used to enhance your recall in old age, but this puts pinpricks in your memory. The clock winding down, ascending the hill, the table eternally laid for your coming, to the make-believed everlasting land across a shining riverbank that blinds you. You must carry your shoes to the other side, where the abundant smiles lights up the street. At last, bringing to an end the journey. At last, a return they thought would never come. Thank you.
That is Gordon Ferris, everyone. And Gordon, I hope you'll put in your chat link to your new book. And we look forward to having you on in the new year in our new book showcase, which is a great reminder for those of you who might be having a collection coming out in 2024. The sooner you can let us know, feel free to email us at cvlivepoetry@gmail.com. Because we only do one new book showcase a month now, we only have 40 slots. I say 40 as if that's a small number, but we're used to featuring many more when we used to do the new book showcase as our main feature every Sunday. And as those of you know, in the early years, we were on every Sunday for a couple years during the pandemic in 2019 into 2020. So let us know. We applaud and are so proud of and excited for you. And we want to do our best to promote you when you have a new collection that comes out, whether that's your first or your 21st collection. We're happy to hear and help promote your work. Well, we move now to Kristie Williams. I'm so excited to see you today, Kristie. And Kristie will be followed by Linda Wlodyka. Happy New Year to you, Kristie.
Thank you.
Glad you're here with us today.
Me too. I'm happy to be here. Happy New Year to everybody. And this poem that I'm going to read is a first because it's the first time I used a line from a song as my title. And I was watching Yellowstone. I am Yellowstone obsessed. And this song came on and it finished my poem nicely. So the version of the song that I heard is called The Good I'll Do. And it was sung by Wyatt Jones in that particular episode. So here we go. I want to dance like God has moved in me before. If God is a man, let him look like McConaughey. Remind me of safe, loving spaces carved throughout my childhood. Still my mind against doubt, sown in the name of someone else's agenda. If God is a woman, she has already been perfectly cast as Alanis. Sit with me as I summon forgiveness and the audacity to paint what I need to feel. If God is a force of nature, let it be the restless wind that rolls through me, pushes me forward, battles the backward pull of regret. When the storm within me slows, let me catch my breath, and maybe for the first time, feel the earth under my feet. Thank you, everybody. This poem was published in Amethyst Review.
Whoa. You know, that's, to me, that's practically like an anthem poem, you know, it's got that, it's got that rhythm and that drive, and I love how everyone is interpreting first today, bringing the different ways that you've cast a first, like the first time you're using a song line. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Great. Again, so glad to see you. Happy New Year. I look forward to hearing more of your poetry throughout the year.
Thank you.
Well, next we have Linda Wlodyka, and Linda will be followed by Cathal Mac Threinfhir. Linda, glad to see you here too. Thank you for joining us for our Poets Focus on First.
I'm glad to be here. And I probably live 35 miles from Desrosiers, and we have a lot of snow here too. So, and as a matter of fact, the man who snow blows just arrived. So I hope it's not too loud in the background, but he's outside and I'm inside. So, so I have a new book out. It was published late in 2023. It's the first full-length book called If Brambles Were Bookends. And I'll put the info in the chat. And I am going to be a featured reader at Time to Arrive open mic out of California with Dan Ince. So I will also put that in the open mic. But I do have a poem in my book. That's just a coincidence. It works with this prompt. And it's called First Prize. This month's all over, 50 shades of blue, makes life sad in a peculiar way. Spent teacup, cream turned sour, his last brush stroke less pronounced than the ones before. What is my nostalgia going to consist of? Story grids, jazz, my rock garden's newfound weeds, original poems. I want proliferation of all that is right in the future. For now, modest growth is in order. I want to reproduce all of it. Would any joy become of puzzles, past, present, future? Hypothetically speaking, take the blue prize ribbon winner to the county fair. Show it off like he did those copper color clapboards he stripped and painted, shutters all maroon and regal. He claims the shutters are sexy, shuts out our view, or lets others see in. When downtown, I asked a passerby what kind of food he liked to cook. He answered, glazed duck. I smile while thinking about mallards floating in the pond next door. I reply, orange or raspberry glaze. It's the raspberry that he likes. I pick wild raspberries each summer. Our emails exchanged for a future culinary rendezvous. My bowl of berries overflows. Others simmer into syrup. I'm entering this batch of jam in the county fair. All maroon and regal. I bet I'll win. Thank you.
Oh, you got an ovation from my mom, which is like,
thank you, Mom.
just like which is like the best thing a person could receive. That's Linda Wlodyka, everyone, and I have to say, my first of all, congratulations on the new book.
Thanks.
I hope I can get up to Massachusetts and see you read from it, because you know Massachusetts is so close from Connecticut.
Sure is.
Sure is. So let me know when you're doing a reading. We'll see if we can make something happen.
Yeah, I have some scheduled, but they're not coming up till summer. So hopefully
no
I'll get
worries.
some in the
That's a
spring.
perfect time. That'll be the
Yeah.
perfect time. Please do. Thanks. And thank you for being here and sharing that first prize of a poem. Love it.
Okay. Well, you're welcome. Thanks.
Well, next we're gonna go across the pond I don't think there's snow over there, but I could be wrong. I'm not, I don't really watch the weather reports. I let my mom do that for us. So I could be wrong. But we're going across the pond. We're gonna hear from Cathal Mac Threinhfir. Happy New Year to you, my friend. And then we're gonna hear from Kate Wegrzyn as we are working through our featured readers on the theme of firsts. Happy New Year.
And a happy New Year to you too, Sandy. Hello, everybody. And my first poem, just two short ones, is by the late mystic and Irish poet John O'Donoghue. And it's a blessing for the new year, so a blessing to everybody. And it's called Bannock, which is the Irish for blessing. Bannock. On the day when the weight deadens on your shoulders and you stumble, may the clay dance to balance you. And when your eyes freeze behind the grey window and the ghost of loss gets into you, may a flock of colours, indigo, red, green, and azure blue, come to awaken in you a meadow of delight. When the canvas frays and the currach of thought and a stain of ocean blackens beneath you, may there come across the waters a path of yellow moonlight to bring you safely home. May the nourishment of the earth be yours. May the clarity of light be yours. May the fluency of the ocean be yours. May the protection of the ancestors be yours. And so may a slow wind work these words of love around you, an invisible cloak to mind your life. So a blessing and a happy new year to everybody. Short poem now, second one, and that's it. This one is entitled The Ulsterman, and it's dedicated in the memory of my grandfather. The Ulsterman. It was Ulster clay and the clenched fists of the Moran mountains that hammered my grandfather's shape and form into being. The heft and heave of the stoker's shovel marked and cut the measure of the man. It was the spitted ash and hissing heat of the ship's coal bunkers that fired him through in that infernal kiln. Then later, in the salty sweat of a New York summer, the roaring 20s in full swing, he looks out from a sepia photograph, his fedora at a jaunty angle, a dandy smile, a suit well cut, the handkerchief in place. The eyes offered friendship, but the jawline was cut from Belfast steel, a man never to be crossed. In the 30s, he worked as a ganger on the roads of Scotland and the north, laying the hot tar, its bitter taste felt at the back of the throat, with each macadam mile beaten and formed, the sweep of the Moran mountains memoried and seared into every yard gained. That's it, my friends. Sandy, back to you. And no, there is no snow here. Just wind and rain, that's all, and cold, but no snow. So back to you, Sandy.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And everyone, I hope that you can appreciate that we all just received a first blessing from Ireland, and that poem from John Donoghue. What a poem. Thank you for sharing that with us. I will remember that I received that blessing for eternity. I will. I'm so grateful. You know, again, as I said at the top of the program, everyone, that the world is shedding its prismatic light, and some of it is exquisite and some of it is just horrific, as you know. And to have poetry be that beacon for us is really a blessing. And so again, I'm grateful to have everyone here for this first of what will be many readings this year, where we will have the opportunity to cast some light of hope into the world and do our best to do that. Thank you, Cathal, and I look forward. I hope I'm going to get to see you when I'm in Ireland in April. I hope we'll get to meet up in person at some point.
We will, Sandy, absolutely, no problem.
Indeed, and we'll be in touch. I'll be letting everybody know, and thank you. Well, next, again, Kate's been here since the very first programs. That's your claim to fame. One of them, one of the many. Kate Wegrzyn. So thank you for joining us on our first program of 2024.
Hello.
Hello.
It's wonderful to be here. And yeah, the claim to fame is so deep in my heart. And today I don't have a structured poem, but more of story. And so I share with you that my first time connecting with Ireland was with the Irish self-isolation support. My heart was drawn to Ireland when COVID started. So if we were thinking about what was happening right with us through the States, which we often do, it's a big country to be cared for, but I connected with the Irish people, and there I met Fergus Hogan, who was reading of his book. And I started to go, oh, get me a notebook, a pen, I have to write down everything this man is saying. Oh my goodness, this story is so good. And after chapter after chapter after chapter and writing it down, I started to write to Fergus, and he says, oh, I'll just send you the book. And so from all of you at Cultivating Voices that have joined over these years, my heart and my compassion has grown exponentially. So I tell you some of more of my memories. I often spoke of geography and the world, but my first travel to Ireland was so unique. 2000, Mom, sister, and I, arriving at the airport in New York, the people all appeared to be with us on a family reunion. They all looked so much like my family of the East Coast, and I'd been in Colorado for so long. We got to Ireland, and we learned to listen to the accent, so different than ours, when directions were spoke of, oh, you go up here to the roundabout. And it's like, what is he saying? And we had to hear it a couple times, but they were talking about a roundabout. Not so difficult if we open our heart and open our ears and we listen to what other people are saying. Don't you think there's a tendency for people in the States to not understand somebody from the South because they're from the North, or somebody from the East because they're from the West? So we all need to do a little bit more of that, hey? So my sister drove the van, and we came into a town, and we went to a roundabout, and there was the statue of Icarus. I said, oh my, we have to take a picture of this. And my sister says, calm down, Kate. We'll be seeing a lot. Well, my mom wanted to go to a local newspaper office, and it came to our attention that she had published our names in the local paper to see if anybody knew of our ancestry. Oh, me mom. So off we went to many different places. We never heard from anybody on the newspaper, but it was the first time that I realized that prejudice and differences are worldwide. And my wise sister instructed me, Kate, do not debate. We are guests here. Okay, so getting you to know a little bit about me. In Ireland, my mom was in a wheelchair, so that's why my sister drove a van, and we wheeled her around a lot. She didn't get out of the wheelchair and walk very far, but she would also sit in the van, often sit in the van and wait. So I was walking with my adventurous sister through the forest. We were climbing over stone walls, and as a shortcut to the monastery. Dory said, Kate, do you see where we are? Oh, yeah, in a forest. So I looked around and I realized, oh, we're in an ancient oak tree ring. We headed to the high cross of the monastery, and my sister was way ahead of me. And I called to see her in the distance, and I turned around, and there at the stone wall I had just climbed over, I stopped in my tracks, and there was what looked like an old bearded man, a story tree, a talking tree, the talking sticks. Everything came to fruition. We enjoyed so many parts of Ireland. We went up to Galway. We had reflections of being through Kerry, and we went out to the Ring of Kerry. And as I said, my mom had some difficulty walking. So after a visit in Cork, we headed out to the coast. And again, my mom, she had us often stopping at a church and sending my sister and I out to the graveyards to find certain names of our relatives. And at this point, my sister and I did look, but then what we looked across to all the crooked stone slabs that Mom wouldn't dare have gotten out of the van to get across, but there she was, sitting out on rocks with the breeze in her hair, smiling, looking out to the Atlantic Ocean, and she looked about 30 years younger, for she had the memories of her life brought to fruition with her daughters traveling with her and saying, for all the ill wishes that may have been presented to her about, oh, come on, Mimi, and where are you talking about this and talking about that? Her heart was uplifted as we can all uplift each other. Thank you. Blessings.
That is Kate Wegrzyn, and I love that we have for perpetuity these memories, you sharing these memories of your mother and your beloved sister Dory. I love that we have this, and you can always go back to it and listen to it. You will always have it. You always do have it because it's in your heart, because it's always there. Big heart. You're a big heart, my friend. Yeah, my mom said she is. The second I said that, she is. So, thank you. I look forward to spending so much time with you in the new year. Well, our final featured poet for today is Diane Knox, and then we're going to get to as many folks on the open mic as we can, to hear as many voices as we can. So welcome, Diane. Happy New Year to you. I'm so glad you're here with us today.
And I am the first to be last. And it goes with my poem. It's called My First Rodeo. Life is a list of firsts that won't quit until the last first we want to last until it can't, to last until we don't, to be the first last to last forever. Like a rodeo of your mind, moving until it can't, moving you until you don't. Life going round, not down, a series of serious, purposeful purposes, pursuing firsts and versuses, lassoing life, turning it around so the first is lasting and the last isn't last because it's the first to last. And this is called Dilation, about your first child. The first sign of the tightening of her stomach walls began at 6 a.m. Her uterus was a blueberry, about 1 centimeter in dilation. She had time or made time to shower, brush her hair, put on makeup, including lipstick and mascara, to be presentable for this unknown sex child. She decided to be surprised, but kept on testing the pin on the end of a string over the wrist, an old wives' tale. It turned in circles, not back and forth, indicating a girl. Or was a circle the one for boys? The circumference of the baby's bald head would fit through the mother's 10-centimeter bagel dilation one time. Her contractions were evenly spaced every 30 minutes for the first 8 hours, then down to every 2 minutes until birth. A quick labor for a first child, known to be 24-hour pain. At 7 meters, up from cherry, a lime slice, and a chocolate chip cookie, but not quite orange slice, the nurses wheeled her into the operating room. Let's get this life started. Or did it begin at conception? You be the judge. She is the executor. She was the decider to take a chance on bringing a new person into this overcrowded earth, to fulfill her promise to herself, to make it better maybe, make the peace needed to correct the shambles, the correction necessary for life to continue, for our world to keep spinning on its axis, tilted to the right or left, politics unusually unusual, her useful contribution to keep us on our course, a saver, not savior, no need to bow and scrape. Respect your mother, who went through hell one day to have you.
It's fantastic work. Thank you. And the first to be last. I love that. And what a rodeo that was. And also the birth is a rodeo, I'm sure. I'm not going through it, but those of you who have, oh my gosh, fantastic poems. Thank you so much. That's Diane Knox, everyone. Happy New Year to you. I look forward to seeing and hearing more of your wonderful poems in this new year. Well, folks, we've got 10 people on the waiting list. I'm going to try to just get through them and stop talking, get to our first reader, Kathryn Ronan. It's one poem a piece, my friends, one poem a piece, and we'll get through as many as we can as we get to the half hour. Welcome, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to everyone. First on the waiting list, first book, and first request for this to be used as a soundscape in an art installation in respect of Brydges, pagan goddess Brydges. It's also a reminder that we have the firsts of everything in a cyclical sense. So, like, you know, we must remember that every winter ends as well. This is called Rebirth. Fragile snowdrops peep with hope. Brydges brushes snow from their faces. Reeds rush to her nimble fingers. Oak offers her sap to drink. Fairy cows with red-tipped ears hear her birthing over 2 thresholds. Mountains shake, lick veins of their rivers as the liminal fire laughs eternal. Ribbons unfurl around sacred trees, secrets revealed in one knot. Frosty, deep breath of love and hope unfurls a crozier of green wish. Wolves are sent as white guides home with a sip of dandelion milk. Buckets fill with springtide stars asleep on windowsills. Light to dark, womb to light, every spring rebirths.
Perfect poem for first. That's Kathryn Ronan, everyone, who will be one of our first new book showcase features of the new year. That'll be next Sunday. Join us. for next Sunday. Thank you so much. And I'll mention just very quickly, the very first Ovale is coming up on Monday. I'm sure you're going to be there, and I'm actually got it written down. I might be there too. So if you can go to Cork online or in person, it's Long Valley Bar on Monday evening. Well, I'm happy to be spending the first reading of the new year with Michael Anthony Ingram, host of one of my first favorite reading series in the country of the United States, Quintessential Listening. I am honored to have you with us today, my dear friend, and thank you.
Thank you. Couple of first. I do host and produce Quintessential Listening Poetry online radio. The name is changing to Quintessential Listening Poetry Online Radio and YouTube. So this will be a first that is no longer audio only. We're moving into YouTube. I'm kind of frightened about being in front of the camera, but that's one first. And this poem is a first. Many, many, many years ago, I decided to purchase a home in Atlanta, Georgia. It would be my first house. And I really thought about it. And I was like, do I really want to make that kind of commitment, that kind of move? So the title of the poem is Road Signs to Atlanta. Caution, bridge may ice in winter, echoed the sign I fleetingly eyed as I journeyed 276 miles south to Atlanta. A word of fresh life, a new beginning. Each mile carried me closer to a new place, a new way of being. Road signs to Atlanta, caution, bridge made ice in winter, whispered the sign that I mulled over while I headed 180 miles south to Atlanta. A journey towards a budding love, each mile paving the way. Road signs to Atlanta. Caution, bridge made ice in winter, murmured the sign I pondered upon, traveling 77 miles south to Atlanta, embracing new friendships, each mile marking a new connection. Road signs to Atlanta. Caution, bridge made ice in winter, muttered the sign I contemplated, progressing 35 miles south to Atlanta, entering into new challenges and new heartaches. Each mile a step forward. Road signs to Atlanta. Caution, bridge made ice in winter, stood the sign I posed in front of nearly 1 mile south to Atlanta, approaching a new place called home, each mile bringing me closer. Road signs to Atlanta. Caution, bridge made ice in winter, hiccup the sun I thankfully turned away from and drove 276 miles north of Atlanta, leaving behind potential woes and heartache, now leading me to where I belonged. Always remember road signs. Ooh. Thank you very much.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh, I love that. I love that I got to hear from you on the first show of the new year. Love it. And congratulate. You're going to have no problem being on screen. Trust me. Oh my gosh. Fabulous. I can't wait. I can't wait. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Michael. And Happy New Year. Well, next is Don Krieger. And folks, this is my first of many, many opportunities this year to just say thank you, thank you, thank you, Don. And I look forward to hearing your poem, of course, as I always do.
Thank you, Sandy, and thank you, everyone. It's an honor to read today. In the beginning, We in America wake to the horror. 1,200 dead, 200 abducted, Israel poised to destroy, as God did to Sodom. We swear never forget, or free Palestine, or some other such meme of the moment. Babel, the towers at city center in flames, smoke and harbor stench, billowing silver in the sun, and so it goes on and on. We care as we watch on TV, but we live in an orchard. Figs and cedar, fresh bread and warm shade, clean work and time stretching to the evening cool. The innocents and righteous of Israel and Gaza may as well have died with Lot's nameless wife, killed by God for caring, because he never did, even for his own. So why should we? We in America may as well have lived as imbeciles in Eden, where knowledge was forbidden, when hate and humanity were new.
First poem. Ooh. John Krieger, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, there are some firsts that I wish were never firsts. And some firsts that when they are firsts, I have to hope will be the lasts. And I'm just too old to know that we'll have to hear that poem over and over again. So thank you, thank you. Well, next, our first poem of the year from the Artful Dodger, who I know will be showing up and curating poetry all during the year. Harvey Soss. Thank you, Harvey, for being here. Great to see you. Happy New Year.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you as well. This is a poem on love at first sight, a condition with which I was much afflicted in my youth, almost as much so as bronchitis. Pasiphae refers to the Minotaur's mother. It's called Minotaur in Love. While out for a bit of shopping, Pasiphae's catch me if you can, half-man sleuthed spore of great white hunters with maze cracking ease. But these tracks seem daintier than those of the Cretans and their guests he usually dined upon. Also, the smell was different, more like waffled honey of hived bees, sweetening garden paths he and only he knew by heart. So when he happened upon her, ardor and odor combined to knee him in his ballsack. Startled, he wasn't quite sure whether to flee or fight. It soon became apparent that she was lost, a shepherdess, crooking after sheep lately on the menu, whose femurs he may have used to pick his teeth. To what some might view as his human better half, it was love at first sight, notwithstanding that his beauty in the more beastly side would have preferred a good goring. When she smiled and asked for direction, her lifeline quivering in her palm, it was decided. He bowed, shyly it must be said. She curtsied, and he heard cowbells. Smitten, his legs almost gave way to impuissance of sand and sangre, a failing endured by lesser breeds, ungulates schooled only in bull ring gamesmanship, and not in life's finer things. To his eyes, usually burning with Hephaestus's fire, she appeared indefensibly soft. Certainly no bullfighter, more adorable than any picador of his acquaintance. squeezable as even the most delicate of toiletry products. She cowgirled no Wonder Woman lariat aloft, twirling cyclonically to rodeo his tasseled horns. By Zeus she didn't, nor did her heaving chest bear any mark of an Amazonian breastplate. Soon he had fashioned a xylophone out of bones of MIA Achaeans and played it for her, after she stood on tiptoe for a kiss, girlish to brutish lips. He had her take his tail, leading her through the maze and away from secular authority, whose views on mixed marriage were, well, mixed. Love perfumed them with its ambergris. He closed the labyrinth, hung a keep out sign, her apron strings hobbling his reflexive chasing. To those who knew them best, she made more of a man out of him than their story might suggest. King Minos reportedly bullish on their future. They lived together a long time before she died, become quasi-vegetarians. He buried her in the yard among scores of half-eaten heroes boasting special sauce. Weakened by loss, by lack of protein, he welcomed Theseus and death as no less a mythopopulist than Thomas Bulfinch might have writ, had he but thought of it. When a half man, half bull falls, he falls hard. Thank you.
Oh my gosh. Harvey, send poems to Naugatuck River Review if you haven't already, to Lee Desrosiers, because like your poems are perfect for her journal, like for their journal, like I'm convinced of it. So thank you. That is The Artful Dodger in the new year, first reading. Thank you. We're gonna go now. I believe Isaac Cohen is with us. There he is. Welcome, Isaac.
Dear Sandy, dear Kim, dear Don, dear friends. Happy New Year, and hope for the peace will come soon. We pray, we pray. Isaac Cohen. First, the band gave a show. The people cheered. I am on the stage, like Leonard Cohen with a hat. I sang like a muse in the festival. The voice reached the throne, reminded me the song I sang when I was born. The lights are on me. The cheers are for me. 63 years I am training for recognition. Thank you, Isaac Cohen, Israel.
That is Isaac Cohen with his first poem with us for the new year. I send you peace and safety, my friend. I send you peace and safety.
Yeah, thank you.
See you soon.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, back to beautiful country of Ireland. We've been fortunate to have a number of voices joining us. Kathryn Crowley, thanks for being with us today, and Happy New Year to you.
Hello. Is the sound okay? This is the inspiration for a poem that I started working on today. It's called Tá an solas arás arís, which is Irish for the light is back again. The perforated sphere, mandalas cut from metal, solar lamp, Moroccan inspired, shop bought in Ireland, made in China. Intermittently gracing us with kaleidoscopic magic, shall I compare thee to my hormones? Thou art just as erratic, and yet the joy that Thursday, sunset, winter solstice, you flickered to life with a cheeky wink. The bickering stopped at the kitchen sink, all domestic jobs forgotten. Did you see that? I asked. The light came on. I thought you a waste of resources, but quality proved me wrong. Rejuvenation will not be rushed. Asian jewels, my greed, the dust. I'm hoarse, I'm healed, I'm last. Go first. In dark soil, seeds reach for the sun. They listen and know the thrush, the sweet song.
Beautiful, beautiful poem. Kathryn Crowley, the light is back again. I'll just say quickly that the word disaster means to turn away from the star. So when we are turning toward the light, we are moving away from the disaster. So keep that in mind, my friends, as we think about the light returning and the seeds moving toward their growth. Thank you so much. Well, I'm very happy to welcome back in this new year a poet that was joining us last year for the first time, and really enjoy hearing Mona Zamfirescu. Welcome and happy new year to you. I'm not sure. Maybe Mona has gone off the call. Let me make sure.
I do not see Mona.
Okay, my apologies, folks. Let's move directly to our very good friend, Patrick Lodge. Great to have you with us here in the new year.
It's great to be here, Sandy. Great indeed. It's my birthday today, so I'm going to read a poem which I wrote for my mother a long time ago, and it's called "The View from the Hotel Il Nido," which is a hotel right above the Italian city of Sorrento, where I'd gone to do a bit of art history work. Anyway, this is called "The View from the Hotel Il Nido." Looking from Sorrento, the bay flattens into a double-bladed axe astride my sightline to Naples. Twin edges honed bright, shining in the break of wave against distant beach. Each morning, the city emerges from the mist, a grisaille, bleached and monotonous. It is a model of a city, faking perspective and depth, cheating the taking and holding of a view. Later, in the sun sparkle, an impressionist landscape. It offers slabs of color and shadow stacked and angled defiantly against each other. A new city appears for the day, teases, obscure and unknowable, before returning to the darkness that spreads up the mountain. And out of this art history, my mother's face suggests a shifting emulsion, a shimmering oil on the water. Many years dead, she comes to me in the makings of a face believers might con from cloud pattern to be comforted. At home, I display photographs of her in rictus poses, suspicious, a mere record of a moment in a landscape or room. Held stiff, as if a lapse in concentration might discover her. The picture and the person immiscible. Each morning from the balcony, I have raised my camera and sought focus. I cannot fix, these images. Thank you, Sandy, and Happy New Year to you and everyone.
What a poem. What a, what a way to honor yourself, your mother, your family on your birthday. And thank you for spending your birthday's evening with us. Happy New Year, and I look forward to hearing much more poetry from you in the new year. Well, we've got just 2 more poets to go, folks, so I'm going to just stretch us just a little further than the 90 minutes, of course, so we can get those final voices in. And next is Rosaleen Crowley, who shared with us about your new book. Welcome and Happy New Year. So glad to have you with us today.
Thank you, Sandy, and Happy New Year to everybody. My new book is called Be Prepared to Be Luminous. So again, about bringing that light that we all need. My first poem, the first time I'm reading from this book is today, so that's the first. It was published at the end of December. So the poem is called Spring Start Over. Remember last year's spring, yellow daffodils in a mass, birds flew home on the wing, rabbits chased across grass. Same today, seasons bring seasonal mixed weather. Life begins again, floating softly like a feather. Upbeat, important to note, life can only get better, not worse, we can always hope. Let's write a letter. Dear self, open your heart, stop keeping score. Every day do your part to love more and more. Step up to the challenge, communicate and follow through. Read, walk, do not avenge the toxicity of those you knew. Next year, look back and say, you are nearer to the prize. Simple steps day by day. Remember, time flies. And so another year will come and go. Success measured in friendships and love. Be prepared to be luminous and glow like a light bulb shining from above. Thank you.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. I can't say it enough. Be prepared to be luminous. If that is not a mantra for all of us for this new year, I don't know what is. What a wonderful message to share with us. And there is the book. Rosaleen Crowley, thank you so much. And congratulations. And I look forward to hearing more poems from the book in this new year. Well, how fortunate are we that our last poet of our reading today on our Poets Focus on First is Zomkhonto Gabadela. I'm just flabbergasted and I am ecstatic. Thank you for sharing a poem with us today.
Thank you so much, because I thought I hadn't landed the last part, but I actually wrote this to theme, right? Okay, so thank you to everyone that came before us. Your poetry is great. All right, this is what I wrote in the theme of first. In the beginning was poetry, and poetry was with God. And God's first poem, God said, I pass the torch on to you. But since Mother was my poem, I kindly refused. You see, the first poem was Mama whispering incantations into my child's eyes and saying, you, my child, shall see more than I ever saw. And you are going to be the same river I planted the fish of our ancestry in. So they never say again that you did not use fish to feed the world. But then came other heroes like Dambuzo Marachera, like Sylvia Plath, whose death made me afraid of stoves. So poets who bring the heat scare me to death. I remember Shakespeare, but Brutus, I would have refused him to kill Caesar because I do not fraternize with cowards, but I will take a poem or two from Chaucer, from Ben Okri, from my father, whose poem was me. I came out of his heart screaming into my mother with stanzas. I first heard a poem from the bus that used to take me to great-grandma each summer, and I swear when she spoke, it was in stanzas that impregnated my soul. And I gave birth to words that made her say I was a god personified. I still crouch close to her grave in my mind, and I dig 6 feet deep poems that I feed generously to the world, one termite at a time. And one thing about first poems, you don't have to remember them. I know the first poem I wrote made my mother smile, to know that her womb was a library, and that in 9 months she gave birth to a light bulb, even when the street lights did not turn on at that time. Any first poem should leave the womb as if I was diving into an ocean filled with the music of orcas. Every first poem should be attached to great-grandma's favorite recipe. Every first poem should have wings that mattered to the sky. My first poem sounded beautiful to the ear, because when I said it to the world, I turned around from the mirror and all my ancestors were right there. Zomkhonto Gabadela.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is the perfect poem to end our reading today. And an incredible follow-up to Rosaleen. Be prepared to be luminous. Oh my gosh. The 1-2. Perfect. Perfection. Everyone was luminous today, was incredible. It on our poets focus on first. Kim, we might have to do first every year now, because they were just, wow, everyone brought it. Like, they took a break, came back. Wow. Everybody, I want to remind you that we heard, and thank you for letting us go just ever so slightly over. Remind you that at the top of the original hour of the program, we heard from Marjorie Maddox, David Brydges, Billy Brown, Patricia Carragon, Lee Desrosiers, Karen Warinsky, Gordon Ferris, Kristie Williams, Linda Wlodyka, Cathal Mac Threinhfir, Kate Wegrzyn, Diane Knox, Catherine Ronan, Michael Anthony Ingram, Don Krieger, Harvey Soss, Isaac Cohen, Kathryn Crowley, Patrick Lodge, Rosaleen Crowley, and Zomkhonto. Fabulous, fabulous readings today. Our poets focus on first. Would you please unmute ever so slightly and show your appreciation for our first readers of our first reading for this new year?
Bravo!
Yay.
Thank you all for
Amazing.
having
To everyone.
Inspiration of the
Thank you,
year.
Kim,
New
for
Year.
allowing
Thank you
me
all
Thank you,
for your
Sandy.
time.
to do a poem. I appreciate that. Thank you all for your
I couldn't let
magical
this
words.
first reading go.
Yeah,
I couldn't let him go. I had to have everybody read. It was so important. Well, I just want to thank everyone, of course. And I want to encourage you all to join us again next week, when we will be hearing for our first new books showcase from Francesca Bell, Anton Floyd, Matthew Gedden, and Catherine Ronan. That's our new book showcase, first of the year. You don't want to miss it. And I want to just remind everyone as I always do, please stay safe out there this week. Please take exceptional care of your beloveds. And just a reminder that poetry really is what helps us promote peace and social justice in the world, in everywhere around the world, in all the languages of the world. So of course, please keep writing your poems and sharing them. This is Sandy Yannone for Cultivating Voices Live Poetry, with amazing thanks to Don Krieger and Kim Ports Parsons and all of you here in Zoom studio, watching us on Facebook and watching on the recording. I wish you a most peace-filled new year, full of creativity, love, and generosity of the spirit. Join us as often as you can. And of course, I look forward to seeing you all next week. Be well.